Everybody, for the next couple of minutes here before noon, I'd like to welcome you all here to PTI Transformers today. I'd really like to give a thank you to the Premier Kinew, and your team for choosing our location once again for today's announcement. We're proud to be Canada's 100% largest Canadian-owned transformer manufacturer. We've been doing this here now for a little over 70 years in this location. We have a long history of building transformers for Manitoba Hydro that keeps the grid running, reliable, clean power, and also for other customers across Canada and the U.S. So we'd like to thank you all again for being here. We appreciate it, and then I'll turn it over to the MC for today, Shannon Corbett. Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Excellent.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Shannon Corbett, the MLA for Transcona. Before we begin, I'd like to honor the sacredness and the importance of this land and of the ancestors that once walked where we are standing today. The Anishinaabe, the Aniniwak, the Dene, the Dakota, the Inuit, and the Anishinaabe nations, and the Red River Métis Nation, who paved the way to what is now known as Manitoba, home to all treaty people. The reason we share this information with you is that it's a reminder of our treaty histories and the original homelands of all those nations which have become home to all of us here today. Today's announcement is an important step forward, one that strengthens our commitment to a cleaner, more sustainable Manitoba. To start us off, please join me in welcoming the Premier of Manitoba, the Honourable Wab Kinew.
Thanks so much for the welcome, everybody. Pipelines make Albertans rich, but transmission lines make Manitobans rich. So let's build transmission lines to connect all of Canada, from Manitoba to the western provinces, to Ontario in the east, going north to Nunavut. We need to connect all of Canada with new transmission lines. And that's what we're here today to announce, that we've signed a partnership agreement with the province of Ontario and others to build up the electricity connections across Canada as part of Trump-proofing our economy. So I want to give a shout out to my good buddy Doug Ford, who's showing leadership on this. The ministers, including Mike Moyes here, have been working on this idea for some time, and he'll shed the details, but basically Ontario proposed a partnership agreement so that we can have interties connecting all of Canada. For Manitoba, that means more export opportunities for Manitoba Hydro, but it's also more jobs for places like PTI. And you think about growing our economy, Trump-proofing Canada, whether it's housing construction, whether it's the transmission corridors and trade corridors, whether it's data centers, PTI is in a position to cash in on all of that development. So this is good news for the people who work here, and it's good news for our economy. We know that there's a lot of need to grow our economy. Manitoba, we have clean, low-carbon hydroelectricity. We can help Saskatchewan, we can help Alberta decarbonize. We can help Ontario with their cost of living. We've got a good cost of living here in Manitoba. We want to keep it that way, and helping to sell more power, create more jobs here in Manitoba, it's one of the best ways that we can do that. So we're signing on to this partnership agreement here after having put it through our cabinet process. We're joining Ontario in this move, and we're happy to encourage every other province in Canada, every other territory to sign on to this partnership agreement. Let's build up Canadian power. Let's build up Canadian electricity. Miigwech, merci. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Premier, for your continued support in making Manitoba a better place for all. Next, I'd like to invite the Minister of Environment and Climate Change, Mike Moyes.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be a part of this announcement where we're signing on to a national agreement towards a national electricity grid. This is about working together, federal, provincial, territorial governments, to strengthen our resiliency. We're joining other provinces to call for coordination, planning, and investment in transmission lines to keep the lights on during storms and growing demand, to make electricity more affordable by creating trade opportunities, and to build a cleaner, more secure grid for climate and competitiveness. This will also provide increased opportunities to create real partnerships with Indigenous communities and at the same time build unity across the country in a time of uncertainty south of the border. Being there for your neighbors is a clear Canadian value, and we know how to do it well. Manitoba already exports power to Saskatchewan and Ontario, supporting our neighbors and keeping our rates among the lowest in North America. Our exports cut global emissions by 7 megatons a year, about 1/3 of Manitoba's total emissions, because Manitoba's clean energy displaces more high-emission energy like coal. Demand for clean power is only going to go up, and building resilient electricity systems in the face of political and climate disruption is so very important. The Manitoba Affordable Energy Plan calls for smart planning, examining exports, partnering with other provinces, and securing the grid. Expanding interties means we can share power during emergencies like drought or wildfire. We're exploring new connections in northern Manitoba with Inuit partners because economic reconciliation and energy security do go hand in hand. This agreement aligns with our commitment to the Kivalliq Hydro Fiber Link, a 1,200-kilometer line connecting Gillam to Nunavut, replacing diesel with clean energy for 5 communities and 2 mines. This means clean power, improving health outcomes, and reducing pollution. As a province in the center of the country, some might even say the heart of the country, we are well positioned to be the connection between East and West, and as I just mentioned, also the North. This commitment on our national electricity grid is about affordability, reliability, and a cleaner future for Manitobans and all Canadians. By working together, we will get it done. I encourage my colleagues across the country to continue supporting this vision. Thank you, merci, miigwech.
Thank you, Minister Moyes, for your commitment to a cleaner, more sustainable Manitoba. Now, please join me in welcoming the Chair of the Minister's Expert Advisory Council, Brigette DePape, to speak.
Thank you so much. Good morning, everyone. Bonjour tout le monde. I am so happy to join with you today to speak about why this agreement on electricity connections is such an important step, not just for Manitoba, but for Canada's climate future. As chair of the Minister's Expert Advisory Council and a parent to a toddler, I am so grateful to see the province's leadership on signing on to this important collaboration for a national electricity grid, a critical step in action and resilience. It is wonderful to see this being supported by Premier Kinew, Minister of Environment and Climate Change Mike Moyes, and MLA Shannon Corbett. During the worst wildfire season we've ever experienced, fueled by climate change, it was heartbreaking to witness my 3-year-old daughter breathing in smoky air, and so many families needing to evacuate from their homes. Today, I am filled with optimism by the momentum of a national clean energy grid. First, the climate and environmental benefits are clear. The National Clean Energy Project helps us to put our elbows up and protect the earth that powers and sustains our lives and local economies, today and for future generations. I just had to use that metaphor, even though I come from a family of basketball players and not hockey players, but my partner loves hockey. A stronger, more connected electricity grid means cleaner power flowing across provinces and territories. Imagine multiplying this impact across the country. A national energy grid leverages the renewable energy strengths of each province and territory by linking them together, such as hydro for Manitoba, Saskatchewan, Quebec, BC, and the North, wind and solar from Ontario and Alberta, and tidal power from Atlantic Canada. By creating these clean energy linkages, we can accelerate Canada's path to net zero and build a grid that's reliable, affordable, and resilient in the face of extreme weather. Projects like the Kivalliq Hydro Fiber Link would strengthen Nunavut's connection to the rest of Canada and show what's possible, adding a north-south grid to the calls for an east-west electricity grid, benefiting all directions. This is climate action that helps to restore balance, that works for people and the planet. Second, this agreement answers the call for a national unified approach. Climate and energy leaders across Canada, My Climate Plan, David Suzuki Foundation, Sacred Earth, the Canadian Climate Institute, over 100 organizations, municipal leaders have all said the same thing. Canada needs an east-west electricity grid. Most people in Canada want to see these projects built, with 77% saying they support upgrading Canada's grid by connecting provinces and territories with new transmission lines. It's a nation-building project that makes our energy cleaner, cheaper, and more secure. It creates economic opportunities, helps us meet our climate commitments, and must respect Indigenous rights. To get there, we need collaboration, provinces, territories, Indigenous governments, and the federal government working together. This agreement is a big step towards that vision. Teamwork makes the clean energy dream work. Sorry for the mum joke there. Hydroelectricity in Manitoba could be used to assist neighboring provinces like Saskatchewan with decarbonization, while Manitoba can benefit from the renewable energy of other provinces, such as during periods of drought made worse by climate change. Battery storage also presents a tremendous opportunity to strengthen the grid, as a recent report from Manitoba's Climate Action Team highlighted. Thirdly, it's an important opportunity for economic development and reconciliation. Updating grids and building more connections between provinces would also mean more green, good jobs, health, and economic benefits. It is an important opportunity for reconciliation and support for Indigenous-led renewable energy projects, building on the inspiring program for 600 megawatts of wind in Manitoba. This is an opportunity for us to build a legacy of climate leadership, reconciliation, and economic resilience. We find ourselves in difficult times with the overlapping crises of affordability and climate change. This grid helps us address these challenges simultaneously and courageously. A national energy grid isn't just good policy, it's essential climate action. It's how we cut emissions, strengthen resilience, and build a sustainable future for all. Merci.
We'll just leave that. Okay. Thank you, Brigette, for your remarks. And I'd also like to thank PTI for having us here today. That concludes the formal portion of our event. Thank you to all our speakers and guests for joining us today. We will now open the floor to media for questions.
This audio might work? There we go. There we go. First of all, who signed on to this, for whoever can answer? It's Ontario-led, Manitoba signing on. Is there anyone else?
Yeah. Why don't you do details on this in any Alberta stuff?
Okay.
What I can tell you is that there's a number of signatories to this agreement. I was in Toronto about 2 months ago, about 2 months ago, and there was cooperation amongst all provinces and territories on this agreement. Some of the provinces and territories are still working through their different processes, whether that's through cabinet or whatnot, but there's strong support for this agreement. The last I had heard, there's about 8 signatories or so, but we'll have further updates in the coming weeks.
So then Manitoba would be one of the 8 signatories then, right?
Yes, I believe that's correct.
I guess what happens next for this grid, which is very aspirational at this point? What's the next steps?
Well, honestly, we want to, this is the first step in building out our national energy grid. We want all provinces and territories to be around the same table. We want the federal government to come to that table and then working together, figuring out a pathway so that all provinces and territories can share the energy depending on what the needs are. As you know, most of our energy grid goes north-south, and I don't mean to Nunavut. It's going to the United States for the most part. And with everything that's happening in the United States, I think it's well recognized that it might be better to have partners that are within Canada. And so that's what this is all about, and we're going to continue these discussions, hopefully bring on every single province and every single territory to this agreement, and then we can figure out how do we better connect. It's going to be different for each province because some provinces are better connected than others. But for us, we're looking to Saskatchewan. We have some connections there. We're looking to Ontario. We have some connections there. How do we better improve that connectivity?
Just to clear up, as of today, though, signatories are Manitoba and Ontario, right?
There's more signatories than that. There's approximately 8 at last count, if I'm not mistaken.
And you're talking provinces.
And territories. I would have to. I don't have the list in front of me of which ones have signed on, but yes, there's a number of them, and the others are working through their process.
But they're not public yet.
Each province is going through, whether they want to release and when they're going to sign. But yeah, absolutely.
So what we can say is, for now, we know Ontario and Manitoba, and others we're waiting for maybe 6.
As what?
Just so we can say the right thing is what I'm asking.
I would say that there's broad support across the country, and that we are working towards all provinces and territories signing on to this agreement. And we're happy that we're being public-facing and encouraging all of my colleagues across the country to sign on.
Can I get the French? Sorry. Unless you do want to.
I don't have a copy on that. Pretty sure they are. Yeah. Okay.
Est-ce qu'on peut avoir le résumé de l'annonce en français, s'il vous plaît?
Bien, les oléoducs sont importants pour l'Alberta, mais pour nous, c'est les liens d'électricité qui va promouvoir notre économie en tant que les Manitobains et Manitobaines. Alors ça, c'est une opportunité magnifique. Hier, nous avons vu que M. Carney a fait son partenariat avec l'Alberta. Alors, il y a beaucoup de monde dans le Canada qui sont peut-être, OK, c'est bon pour l'économie, mais qu'est-ce qu'on va faire pour l'environnement? OK, ici, c'est une opportunité formidable pour M. Carney, pour les autres provinces, d'engager avec nous, comme l'Ontario et puis le Manitoba, pour créer des opportunités qui appuient l'environnement et l'économie en même temps.
Il y a quelque chose? Qu'est-ce que vous
Oui,
nous annoncez?
Ben, cette semaine, nous avons fait notre processus au cabinet pour ce que le Manitoba pourrait être officiellement dans ce partenariat. Et puis, je crois que Ontario est là, et puis je crois aussi que Nunavut est aussi là. Les autres provinces et territoires, comme M. Moyes a dit, sont dans le même processus où ce qu'on était plus tôt dans cette semaine. Oui.
Merci. Est-ce que je peux, tant qu'à faire le français, est-ce que je peux juste vous demander une citation en français aussi, s'il vous plaît? Oui.
Yeah, oh yeah, for sure. I was
Yeah.
going to say something about that.
Just so that everyone can just cut off the French from their cassette afterwards. Est-ce que vous pouvez nous parler de comment vous vous sentez? Vous avez parlé d'un futur meilleur. Juste,
Oui,
c'est ça.
définitivement. J'ai tellement hâte pour cette opportunité pour le Canada et pour le futur du Manitoba. C'est vraiment une opportunité pour avoir des connexions, des liens entre provinces, comme Premier ministre Kinew a dit, qui appuie le climat, mais qui appuie aussi l'économie. Alors, je vois ça comme le projet qui va unir les nations, qui va vraiment avoir des bénéfices pour tout le monde.
I'm just wondering, in terms of this agreement, what benefits are going to be specific to Manitoba, including for organizations like PTI? Are we going to see, benefits from this agreement directly for the organizations manufacturing the electricity?
Oh yeah, for sure. Go ahead. Yeah.
I think any time that we are going to be investing in exporting our hydroelectricity, our clean energy, you're going to see investments using these local resources like PTI. Like, what a great backdrop, what a great, you could see the workers surrounding us. We want to ensure that we are investing in Manitoba workers. And so absolutely, anytime that we have an opportunity to invest in our workforce, that's going to take place.
I'll just add to that briefly. So this partnership agreement we're signing on to can really help with the cost of living in Manitoba. If we boost export sales for Manitoba Hydro, that helps to keep your hydro bills low. And everyone's thinking about the cost of living right now. And then when you go to the broader economy, everything that's happening out there, everyone's talking about AI. What gets the attention in AI are the GPUs, which again, there's a bit of a chip limiting factor there. But the transformers are hugely in demand in terms of building data centers. We got a local homegrown supplier of transformers. This is amazing. We think about the next generation of the economy. The interties are going to help with the cost of living. They're going to help ensure that base load power is on, not just here, but in other provinces, so that they can build things like data centers, they can build new residential housing, we can do these trade corridors. And I think every step of the way, PTI is in a position to succeed. So you want to talk cost of living? This partnership agreement is going to help on the cost of living. You want to talk about jobs? This partnership agreement is going to help with jobs. It's good for the economy, but good for the environment too, and I think everyone feels good about that.
This announcement comes at an interesting time. The Prime Minister had just signed a pipeline deal yesterday. Do you expect federal support when their mind seems to be elsewhere?
What a great idea. Thank you. Write that in a letter, send it to Carney, Prime Minister Carney. I think it's a great idea. Yeah, absolutely. What better timing than now for the federal government to invest in a national electricity grid? They did the deal with Alberta yesterday. There's a lot of people who are saying, good for the economy, but there's some Canadians saying, what about the environment? Perfect time for the federal government to sign on to this agreement alongside Ontario and us and say, you know what, we are still committed to growing the economy in ways that help the environment too. So absolutely, they've got the big checkbook. If we want to build that transmission line to northern Saskatchewan, to northern Alberta, to help decarbonize oil and gas in Canada, this is the time to do it. And it'll help employers like PTI, the workers that you see around us here today. It'll help you with the cost of living, and it'll help Trump-proof our economy. So it's like every single way you look at it, this one's a winner.
We don't really have electricity to sell right now.
Oh yeah, we do. Oh no, we have power right now.
How much more electricity do you have to sell when you're currently making plans to create more electricity, and there's the fear we're going to run out by 2029, 2030?
Yeah, I think, it's the Manitoba PC's short-sightedness that is the reason that we're building now. Not a single watt of electricity was built during their time in office, right? There's more power in a donut from Tim Hortons than they added to the grid during 2 terms in office. So yeah, we're building. Because as the economy grows, whether it's housing or data centers or these interconnections that we're talking about, we need more power. So we're doing the combustion turbines, we're doing the wind turbines, we're looking at other generating facilities in the future. But the reality that Manitoba is trying to embrace through signing on to this partnership and everything else we're doing is we are the only jurisdiction in North America that has surplus power in 2026 and 2027. Meanwhile, the price of electricity everywhere else in North America is being bid up to 21 cents, 25 cents a kilowatt hour because of the AI boom. This is our time in Manitoba to cash in on these investments that we've made over the years. And having those interconnections, maybe partially funded by the federal government, what an amazing opportunity for us to make good on the clean energy investments we've made over the years, but also to help the other parts of the country hit their economic goals too.
just wanted to ask, I mean, we've talked about how this investment and agreement with Ontario is going to help with the cost of living for Canadians, but just the investment itself, I just want to talk about that. What is that investment going to be? Who will be funding this? And is there an estimate on how much money will be spent on it?
So Manitoba Hydro as a whole, we're planning to spend about $30 billion in the next 20 years in terms of retrofitting transmission lines, in terms of ordering from PTI, in terms of building these generating facilities that we're talking about. But if we want to hit that next level of the Canadian economy, it would be amazing if the federal government came forward and helped us build the additional layer of transmission infrastructure to go across northern Canada west. The real opportunity that we have with surplus power is to decarbonize, while also making good on our investments here by lowering the cost of living in Manitoba, but to decarbonize oil and gas production in Saskatchewan and Alberta. Yesterday, you saw the federal government take a step towards trying to provide some clarity or certainty, or however you want to talk about it. What I think is needed now is the federal government needs to come forward and say, here is the tangible step to decarbonizing that other opportunity that they're pursuing. And it's us in Manitoba who have the power. Right now, when there's a peak in Alberta and they run out of power in January, it's our electrons that keep the lights on there. It's not natural gas, it's not coal, it's the dams in Manitoba that keep the power on there. We sell it to Sask Power, and then Sask Power transmits it to Alberta. And that's because we have the interties across the southern parts of our province right now, right? So we're already helping on the reliability side, but when you think about Fort Mac and northeastern Alberta, when you think about the oil-producing regions of Saskatchewan, what if we were able to sell our electrons there? Good for our economy, good for everyone's cost of living, but it would help on the climate front too.
Can you explain that in French again, please?
J'ai oublié ce que j'ai dit.
Vous parliez du fait qu'on vendait notre électricité en ce moment à l'Alberta.
Oui. OK. Dans les mois de janvier, février, nous vendons notre électricité de Manitoba à Saskatchewan et puis ils le partagent avec Alberta pour ce qu'ils pourraient réchauffer leur maison et puis allumer leur économie. Mais pensons de Fort Mac et puis le nord-est du province. Pensons des régions de Saskatchewan où ce qu'ils créaient l'huile et puis l'essence et tout ça. L'opportunité économique pour le Manitoba, si nous pourrons transmettre nos électrons, notre électricité à Saskatchewan et Alberta dans le nord, ça ouvre beaucoup d'opportunités économiques pour nous, ça va rendre une vie plus abordable pour nous, mais ça va avancer le projet de lutter contre le changement climatique pour le Canada aussi.
Just had one final question. I know you talked about that this investment will bring jobs into Manitoba. Just from my understanding, I feel like these jobs are very specialized opportunities that people will have to need a very specific degree for. Will we be able to hire for these jobs in Manitoba, or will we be looking to hire outside of Manitoba for these jobs?
Here's one of the most important things Manitoba can do in terms of green jobs. Green jobs are real in Manitoba. Look around. Like when we go talk to our friends and neighbors in Saskatchewan and Alberta, we're asking them to engage in a leap of imagination. We're asking them to imagine something that's not real. Because for the blue-collar person in Saskatchewan and Alberta, the jobs are in the oil patch. It's for roughnecks. But here in Manitoba, everyone knows for the last 50 years there's blue-collar jobs that have been created by clean electricity. Created in workplaces like this one, created in Manitoba Hydro, and Manitoba Hydro employs people in every region of the province. So when we're talking about building up transmission infrastructure, yes, you're going to need electrical engineers and you're going to need people with, like all sorts of fancy qualifications. But more importantly, and the reason why it's such a winner for the economy, is you need tradespeople. You need lines people. You need people in the high-vis gear and the steel toes and the hard hats who are going to be out there in minus 50. When the last major transmission project was built in Manitoba, you had reserves where there is very little economic opportunity being able to send young people out to earn high salaries on construction sites. That's a winner. You had people migrating from other parts of Canada to come here. We all know what happens when hydro gets busy. It's boom times in Manitoba. You have trade people from the East Coast, you have tradespeople from Alberta coming here when hydro's engine is running. That engine has been sitting idle under the PCs. We're revving it up again, and what we're saying is to the federal government and to everyone else, join into this thing and let's kick it to an even higher gear than that. It's good for everybody. Yes, absolutely. The folks that you're talking about with the, PhDs and the engineering designations, there's going to be opportunities for them, but there's going to be opportunities for all of us. Blue collar, white collar, whatever, all Canadians benefit if we build this thing up.
Different subject, Premier.
Sure.
Nova Scotia is selling off its U.S. stock of liquor and donating it to food banks. Is that something that the province would consider doing?
Okay, I had to do a leap of logic. They're not donating it to food banks. They're selling it and donating the money to food banks.
Yeah, sorry, yeah.
Okay, I had to.
Yeah, not donating
Yeah, no,
liquor.
sorry. I'm one step behind you now. I think I've caught up. We'll be open to being flexible with this. Premier Houston in Nova Scotia, somebody I get along with, and if this is something he's looking at, it probably makes sense for us to consider. We have used some of this stuff over the summer because we had managed alcohol programs with evacuees, as one example. And so under the supervision of medical experts, people who are going through alcohol withdrawal, that was one purpose that we have used. So we have been open to using some of this stuff, but the point is, this is one of the tools that we've used that's actually gotten the attention of the Trump administration. And so in order to push back against Donald Trump's tariffs, keeping the American booze off the shelves is good. And I'll shout out all the local brewers out there that the good news is, whether it's LBJ or all the others, Sucrum, the stuff tastes way better than the American stuff anyways. So kind of a win-win.
So how much of your stock do you use for this managed alcohol program? How much do we have left?
Oh, there's still quite a bit left, yeah. But again, the tool that we've used here to pull the American booze off the shelves is send a message to Donald Trump's administration. You've heard them talk about this. This is a pain point for them. We are starting to feel the impact on our Canadian economy now. For like the first, let's say, 9-10 months of the year, Manitoba's economy did pretty good at withstanding the threat of the American tariffs. But now we are starting to see some of the impacts here in Manitoba. So we have to maintain that vigilance against the Trump administration. And when we're talking about the message being sent on another level, I hadn't heard the name Sourpuss since I was maybe a teenager or like a 20-year-old. But apparently Sourpuss moved out of the States and moved their production to Canada recently as a result of this measure. So this is something that works, it's something that's effective, and it's part of protecting our Canadian economy.
So are we saying U.S. booze off of shelves for the foreseeable future?
Drop those tariffs, Donald Trump.
98% of Mounties wearing body cameras. Would you like to see WPS wear body cameras as well?
Something that we're open to having the conversation. Again, Winnipeg Police Service, the mayor, the police union here in the city. Those are the groups that we'll have to talk to about that.
Previously, you said you weren't willing to put provincial money towards that project. Does that remain the case, or are you open to that possibility?
Yeah, I'll just maybe ask you to follow up with our Minister of Justice. I know there's been a lot more recent live conversations on this one.
Okay. Also on a different note, question period yesterday got pretty ugly. Obviously, the opposition is the ones to ask the questions, but you're responsible for how you respond to it. Do you think you responded appropriately?
Well, the Manitoba PCs are soft on crime. And so, of course, they're going to attack me because we're taking action to make you safer.
I'm asking you, though, about sort of your comments directed to Obicon and the PCs. Do you think those were appropriate?
Well, what happens in question period is when the opposition doesn't have anything to talk about, they get angry. And so, yeah, of course the Manitoba PCs are going to be mad because they're soft on crime. Everyone knows what I said about people who target children under the prison, right? And what did they do? They attacked me. The Manitoba PCs attacked me for saying that. They're on the wrong side of the issue. They know it. And so now they're trying to play politics or whatever. My thing is, let's protect the kids. Politicians arguing in the legislature, whatever. But give your head a shake if you're on the wrong side of this issue, I would say.
You called them sniveling, tofu eaters, latte sippers. You told Albie Khan it's okay to cry. Do you think those comments are becoming of the Premier's office?
Well, first of all, you got to understand the sense of humor. If you're going to repeat my jokes, you have to give the same delivery, Ian, please. We need the context of the humor here, okay? So when you have the Manitoba PCs trying to ask about moose meat and moose hunting, meanwhile, none of them have ever seen a gun in their lives, none of them have ever shot a prairie chicken, never mind an actual moose, and then I say tofu eater, listen, I'll go to Spicy Noodle House with you right now and have the hot and sour soup. I eat tofu. But part of what we do is we have a little fun along the way, too.
Do you think what happened at question period yesterday was fun?
Well, it's question period, not answer period. So I think all your questions should go to the opposition who posed the questions.
I'm asking about your conduct, though.
I think I've given you some great quotes to choose from already.
And also on a different note, the 72-hour detention facility was promised to be open by the end of the month. Is it open?
So we got a few more days in the month, and yeah, I think we're opening in the next few days. Yeah, whether that's Sunday, Monday, we might ask for your help in stretching the definition of end of the month early next week. I don't know, but we're imminently going to open that facility. So.
Okay, we're going to go to Zoom.
Thank you. Yes, we have 2 reporters joining us on Zoom today. We'll follow our usual 1 question, 1 follow-up format, and I will start with Alex Lambert from the Brandon Sun.
Thank you. This is for the Premier. We spoke with some food banks yesterday that receive lots of produce from their surrounding areas.
Hi, Alex. I think they turned my mic off, so if you want to ask them on that mic.
Nope, turn my mic off too.
All good?
Grant, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Can we go to the other reporter on Zoom?
We certainly can. Yeah, we can follow up with Lauren Stone from the Globe and Mail. Lauren, can you try going ahead and asking your question?
Hi there, Premier. Hopefully you can hear me. I'd like to ask more about yesterday's energy deal. I just wondered, you've referred to it a couple times today, but I just wondered, broadly speaking, what do you make of this deal between Ottawa and the federal government? Does Manitoba think it's good for the country, bad for the country? And would you like to see any carve-outs or special circumstances laid out for your province now?
Well, I think that this partnership agreement that we're signing on to is just perfectly timed now. We had scheduled this press conference prior to the news with Alberta and Ottawa, but what a perfect time for the federal government to invest in building a national electricity grid. Part of what they talked about yesterday was decarbonizing the oil and gas sector. We have the low carbon power to help Saskatchewan and Alberta do that. And a national transmission grid is the pathway to that future. So this is a wonderful time for Prime Minister Carney to work with us on helping to decarbonize Canada writ large, and that would help us with the cost of living and jobs here in Manitoba.
Okay, thanks. As a follow-up, I just wonder how you think the federal government has handled this, particularly with First Nations groups, the coastal First Nations in BC. Do you think that Prime Minister Carney should have spoken to them first before making this announcement?
Well, I think the leaders of coastal First Nations have proven themselves very adept at speaking for themselves, so I'll let them comment on that. Just the same way First Nations leaders here in Manitoba have been very, very strong spokespeople for their interests. And what I would say for us as a provincial government is we just want to help grow our Canadian economy, and we have this amazing resource here in Manitoba, which is we're one of the few jurisdictions anywhere in North America right now that has surplus power. And so we can help you meet your economic goals while also helping to decarbonize. And I think that this is just a great opportunity for the federal government. Again, they got the big checkbook. We would welcome them to come invest in Manitoba. But for Canadians who have been thinking about how do we actually stand up against Donald Trump, well, if you want to do that in a way that leaves a safe, clean, healthy Canada for the next generation, it should involve Manitoba hydroelectricity. We have the power to help decarbonize Western Canada. BC probably happy to see transmission lines built as well too, and I think this is an important complement for Mr. Carney's approach.
Thank you, Premier. That's all from Zoom. We'll send things back to the room.
Well, I think we're going to try with Alex again one more time. Or that's what they're asking here in the room.
We can give it a shot. Alex.
No? All right.
We seem to be having some issues with Alex's microphone. We'll try to follow up with him offline. Thank you, Premier.
Okay, we'll follow up offline. Okay, that's it. All right, thanks everyone. Thanks so much. Have a great weekend.